Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to this week's episode of The Feminine Frequency. Today, we have a bonus episode where I have a dear sister, soul client, co-facilitator with me, where we're going to be talking about our recent experience on the Radiance Retreat. And I want to introduce you all to Stephanie Pereira Lima. Welcome, Steph.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so excited for this conversation.
Yeah, we just went on a deep, magical journey together, and it was so inspiring to have you in the space to share your magic with energy healing, with Reiki, with womb work. And we're going to be talking about what we co created together. And for everyone who's listening, this episode is really an opportunity to see what's possible when we come together for in-person healing experiences. And right before we hit record, Steph was sharing with me, like, it's so hard to capture this in words. Like in an Instagram post, it's literally impossible to describe what happens in these experiences. So we wanted to create more of an extended space and time for us to really debrief and unpack and share about the magic of women's retreats and specifically the magic of embodiment retreats.
Yeah, definitely. I was like, how do we capture this? How can we? I was like, we need to record a podcast. We need to really speak to all that happens. And yeah, I'm very thrilled for this.
Okay, amazing. So, to start off, the Radiance Retreat happened in Costa Rica, which is one of my very favorite places in the world. And there's something about the not only the energy, but also the quality of the nature in Costa Rica that to me really speaks to the feminine, right? It's like this tropical, lush, vibrant, but also diverse ecology that we got to experience. And that does something to us on an energetic level, on a frequency level. Like even just landing there and being in the beauty of nature to me just really helps me to drop in and allows my nervous system to relax. So yeah, I want to just start there about like the environment that we were in, and the space that we did our workshops in was like completely surrounded by the jungle. We got lots of beautiful animal friends that came to visit us in that space. And it was just so beautiful to be by the river in the jungle, fully immersed in nature.
Yeah, fully immersed. And this region of Costa Rica, this is where you've got volcanoes, it's mountainous, there's lake, there's the luscious green forest, hot springs. I mean, it's such a sacred vortex. You quite literally feel the energy in that space. And we saw monkeys and sloths and hummingbirds, the amount of rainbows that we saw as well. It just magic after magic.
Yeah, and that is something that I feel like so many women are craving, whether they know it on a conscious level or not. But especially women who, are on their computers all day and who are inside a lot and who are in that masculine overdrive, like the desire of even like your soul to unplug and to disconnect and to reconnect with Mother Nature is such a huge part of what we're experiencing during this time of the feminine rising. It's like coming home to our own nature and reconnecting with the earth, which I think that is such a big part of the healing journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you're speaking, the food, the organic, the freshly grown, there's so many self-sustaining farms in the area. It's my body felt it. My body felt the difference leaving Costa Rica, coming back. Just the quality, the vibration, the chi of the food as well was so potent.
And we stayed at this incredible retreat center, which took me quite a while to call in. And once I called it in, it was like just a knowing that was where I was meant to host this retreat. So we stayed at Mystica Lodge in Lake Arenal. And the cool thing about Mystica is that it is run by Italians, and they have an incredible restaurant there where we got nourished by these incredible foods, like having fresh fruit in the morning and having all of our meals prepared for us. And I think there's something to be said about that, of stepping out of our everyday environment and our responsibilities of even the smallest things of cooking for ourselves and having someone cook for you and knowing that it's all healthy, nourishing foods is such a treat. Like it's such a kind of relief to be able to just like receive that.
I really looked forward to the breakfast, lunch, and dinners. And not to mention the beautiful organic conversations that happen during those moments too.
Yeah, I'd love for you to speak to that a little bit more around like when we gathered around the dinner table and we spent that, intentional time together. Like what was your experience of that?
So just to paint the picture, we were a group of 14 and we got to sit at this long extended table, everyone together, overlooking the lake, overlooking the volcano. And it was beautiful because every meal people would sit in different spots and you'd get to connect and talk to different women. And what I loved in our dinners, which you invited in, was a table conversation, a topic that everyone could participate in. And it was another space to witness each other, to listen, to connect. And I felt that those spaces, like really everyone's essence really came through. And it was beautiful, even for myself, sharing, some of the challenges and the things that I'm moving through in my personal life. It helped, even though I was co-facilitating, it helped to create that humanness. And that was reflected to me by one of the attendees. And I really appreciated that because, yeah, we're all in this together. And yeah, it was really special. Those moments, those table conversations.
Yeah, I think, at least for me growing up, like when I would sit around the dinner table, I didn't feel like I had that many people who related to me. And even in my adult life, when I was married, I just felt like I would sit at dinner tables and like the conversations weren't that interesting to me, or I wasn't actually wanting to share what my truth was because I didn't feel safe to do so. So there was something really special about having those dinners with, having conscious conversations, having interesting conversations, with women who were interested in things like human design and astrology and health, and getting to explore these different conversations that I think a lot of women crave, but don't necessarily have in their day to day life. Yeah. And I want to talk about the power of being seen, because I think this is something that really came through for so many women on this retreat. And it was a desire for a lot of women to be able to be their authentic self and to be able to be seen. And I think there is something really special for women, because so many of us have sisterhood wounds and we have experiences where we felt judged, where we felt left out, where we feel like we don't belong, that we don't have a lot of experiences where we feel included, where we feel like we can be ourselves and say what we want to say and talk about whatever we want to talk about. And that was something that was just inherently healing in the retreat. Like it wasn't even outside of the workshops and the healing work that we did, like simply being together at dinner, on the bus on the way to our adventures, like having this quality time with other women where we could practice being seen, and not like when we're have all this makeup on, or when we're like showing up as, even myself, as a facilitator, or in the roles that we play in society, but just getting to be and getting to have experiences together. I think there's something so powerful and healing in that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was, to your point, it was such a range of ways in which each person, each soul was seen, right? Whether it was speaking up and sharing how they felt in that moment, or reflecting on what came up for them during the sessions, to even acknowledging some of the more spiritual, energetic pieces that are awakening and coming online, and soul gifts being activated and being seen in that. And so many women as well were star seeds and light workers in their way, which is so much my realm. And I very much relate to what you shared about just being in spaces where you can't really fully talk about the things that you want to talk about. And that was happening all the time, in every corner, every moment. And it was just so beautiful, like truly not just being seen, but being held. I think that was like the common theme as well for each person. And even when they were in their moments alone, whether they were journaling or, outside of the group activities, they were also held and seen in that too.
Yeah. Yeah. So beautiful. And, everyone who came on the retreat, there were only a few people who knew each other before the retreat. So essentially, for the most part, many of them were strangers, right? Obviously, I knew all of them because I got to know them before the retreat, and many of them were clients or podcast listeners. But it was such a cool experience to have women from all different backgrounds, all different ages. Like our age range for this retreat was 29 to 50, maybe, I think, if I have that correctly. So I loved having that range, and I really invite women of all ages to join, because I think there's a lot of women who are like, oh, I'm too old for something like that, or I won't fit in. And there was a lot of shared wisdom because of that, from different backgrounds and different ages, to get to learn from each other, right? Like, there was so much wisdom from our attendee who was 50 that brought so much richness to our experience, and then she felt inspired by the other women, and I really loved that synergy of getting to learn and share wisdom with each other.
Yeah. And it's not your human age that because you're older, you're wiser and you have more wisdom to share. Not at all, right? On a soul level, each person is a different quote unquote age. And that was something that we also really emphasized to each participant, that it's also their magic and their energy and their presence that's co-creating this experience with each other. So each person a student and teacher in their ways.
Yeah, and one thing that I noticed is that even through dialogue, through conversations, that new possibilities opened up for different women. So when they would hear about other women who had maybe started businesses successfully, or sold businesses successfully, or when they would hear about one of our retreat attendees who is in a really healthy relationship for the first time, and they got to see through each other, like, oh, wow. Like, that person's taking risks. That person is opening her heart to love. Like, I can do that too, right? And getting to just feel that inspiration and getting to see what's possible was really powerful.
And what's also coming through as you're sharing that is, even if for example one person is processing and sharing about one particular experience, when they would speak, there was often wisdom in that share for many others as well, going through their own experience. So very much each person being mirrors for each other and expanders, to your point of, oh, they're doing it. This is possible. They made it through the other side. And many are in big life transitions, career, love, businesses taking off, selling houses and changing location, like big expansion. So
Yeah, I want to talk about some of the specific breakthroughs, and I'm sure as we start talking about this, more examples are going to come through. So one of a big breakthrough that I got to witness was around body image. And one of our attendees felt like she had some insecurities around her body image. And we went to a waterfall one day, and she had shared, like, oh, it's too cold, like, I don't want to go in. And eventually she did go in. And later on at dinner, she said, I'm usually really insecure about my body. I don't like wearing bathing suits around people. But because I saw all of you women, like, feeling good in your bodies or being confident to, like, wear a bathing suit, it inspired me to feel safe and to really be courageous and let myself enjoy that experience. And that was so beautiful, especially because she had struggled with body image for decades. And that was such a liberating experience for her. Another experience that comes to mind is around sexual liberation and around pleasure. Steph, you guided an incredible breathwork session, and a lot of that session was around releasing. And for a lot of women, that was about, releasing emotions, releasing even generational trauma around scarcity, around consent, around fear of being seen. Like, there was so much that was released in our time there. And we had a participant who, in that experience, felt a lot of pleasure. And, she felt nervous to share. later on that she felt turned on and that she had orgasmic energy moving through her body in that experience. And because she was having a different experience to a lot of other women, she felt nervous to share that. But once she shared that, it was so liberating because, she had a story that if she shared that, then she wouldn't be accepted or people would judge her. And that was her own previous experience with shame around her sexuality, which so many women have. And so the fact that she got to experience that of like sharing what her real experience, her authentic experience was, and not only was it received, but it was so celebrated. Like everyone was so stoked for her and they're like, wow, like I wish I had that orgasmic experience. Like, yes. And it was so fun to see her. Like, the thing that she was most afraid of sharing was actually the thing where, like, it liberated her and it was so deeply celebrated by the women.
Yeah, after that, so many women were like, Steph, you got to get a testimonial. That's the ultimate experience. I was like, thank you. I literally, I was like, I'm honored. I am honored that, yeah. And it is, it's very much, I mean, there was so much sacral Shakti Kundalini energy that we were working with. And so much of, yeah, the way that was rising and being expressed, and even some of the women having deeper kundalini activations in the breath journey was also really powerful to witness. What's also coming through is, to your point, you spoke to the ancestral generational, so part of that journey we also had a guided visualization, and a few of the attendees were speaking to the lineages, right, the mother wound and their feminine line, like really seeing quite literally a row of women behind and in front of her, and really seeing that systemic issues, these emotional issues, the roots of them are now being cleared with her. And that was really beautiful and really powerful. Another moment that's coming through is one of the attendees being able to start like third eye activation, like really starting to see energy and play with it, and feeling the energy moving through her hands. That was also just such a beautiful experience. And in general, just all the movement, all of the body, just hips and openings and heart opening moments, like it was incredible to witness and to be in that space.
Yeah, I'm glad that you elaborated on the generational piece because there were several women there who are mothers and they are committed to not passing along their trauma to their daughters, to their children, and to being an example for the future generation and like doing their own healing so that it stops with them. They don't pass down these same patterns to their daughters. And another thing that happened that was really powerful that we found out after the retreat is one of the attendees who had not had a menstrual cycle for 9 months. After the retreat, she got her period. And during the retreat, we did a lot of womb work. We did a lot of, even just being in a space where her nervous system and her body could get out of survival mode and out of the stress mode. And that allowed her cycle to come back online. And like our cycle is such a symbol of vitality as women. It's a symbol of health. It's a symbol to show that we feel safe in our bodies. And it was so cool to hear that after all of that time that she got her period. Like that's deep healing right there.
That was really impressive. And she's also in a stage where perimenopause could be around the corner. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe she was kind of sitting with that, like, okay, maybe it's time. And to hear that her body was able to release and her sacral felt safe enough to do so, that was such a gift. Such a gift. Yeah.
Yeah. I even had like an awakening and an insight around my cycle on the retreat. I was looking around and like I said, we had women of all ages and I'm 35 and there were women who were like 41 and maybe like 43 who were sharing that they were in perimenopause. And I had this moment where I was like, wow, I'm not that far behind. Like it's not that far away. And, my lived experience and my day-to-day experience and my experience throughout the month, like I'm so connected to my cycle. And so I had this moment where I was like, wow, like, yeah, it might be still 4, 5, 6 years away, but it's sooner than I think it's going to be. And that was actually really cool because I think if we only surround ourselves by women who are our age, right? Or maybe like our moms don't talk that much about their experience of perimenopause and menopause. And so it was just like a really good awareness and insight. Like it wasn't bad or I wasn't not afraid. It was just like, oh wow, like I'm right there. Like I'm close to that. And just to bring more acknowledgement, like not is that just going to happen sometime in the future, but it's going to happen kind of soon. And yeah, I think it just brings more awareness to where I'm at in like the life cycle as a feminine being.
Just to speak to that, because I've had my own, journey of irregular cycles and really doing a lot of healing work on all levels to regulate it. And what was beautiful is that my cycle arrived at the very start of the retreat. And that often happens for me where it's almost like I'm energetically like holding the space. And as soon as it's like everyone landed safely, we got to the venue, or to the resort, I should say, the lodge, and settled in. And even myself, like I was able to release. And even though we were hosting and facilitating, it felt good. I did not have cramps. I didn't feel the heaviness that I usually feel. So all of those pieces are indicators that we're really in alignment. Like we were really in alignment and being in our medicine, and being in that experience all together. So that was a gift for me as well.
Yeah. Yeah. That was so cool to get to, yeah, hear about your experience and that you felt like you had an easeful cycle while facilitating, which is huge.
It was fun. It was amazing.
Yeah, one of the participants, she shared with us, or she's like, I've been on other retreats before and I've done a lot of work, and a lot of times I feel like it's so intense, like it's a lot of processing and a lot of verbally processing with people and holding space for other people's experience, which can be a lot to hold even as a participant. And what she shared is that this retreat was so much more about the body and about moving energy through the body than it was about mentally processing and going into the story and all of that. Like she said that it was such a like a breath of fresh air to have that distinction of like what embodiment really is. And, we also incorporated a lot of time for rest, for relaxation, for spa time, for time by the pool, to have time for playfulness. Like that was actually one of my highlights from the retreat is just hearing women's laughter. Like I think we can be so serious in our day-to-day life. And what I found is like when we actually feel safe, like we're silly, we're playful, we don't have to be so perfect and put together. And so hearing women like in their laughter, just hearing them at night in their rooms, almost like little girls laughing,
Giggling.
giggling and laughing and just being lighthearted, like that is medicine too. It doesn't always have to be like this deep, intense release in order to have the breakthroughs that you're wanting to have.
Yeah, there were quite a few laughs that were very contagious, and I myself would like crack up just listening. On the bus, or if we were, in the shala, but like that was really particularly like I can hear it when I think of their laugh. So that, yeah, such a medicine there too.
There was one other really deeply healing share that one of the participants brought forward, which was about her experience of even just like being on the bus with the other women. She shared that like growing up, she had a hard time with, female friendships, and she would watch movies and watch TV and like kind of wish that she was part of the group and like she could experience that through watching movies, but she never experienced that personally. And she said she had this moment where we were on the bus and we were playing this song that kind of ended up being our theme song of the retreat. And it was cool because that song was brought to us from one of the participants. Like she got this intuitive hit or like download around the lyrics of that song. And it was really relating to her experience that she was having on the retreat and her own personal process. And so this song, which was called Unwritten, it was a song that we all just like were singing to, and we were so excited about it. And she said that was like the first time that she actually was a part of a sisterhood community and a part of a group of women instead of like being on the sidelines or wishing that she was part of it. And like just having that lived experience and getting to have that shift of feeling and knowing that you're worthy of being a part of this, that you're worthy, you're good enough to be in connection with other women. Like that's just such a life-changing moment.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love that song, and so many of us, we just, like karaoke style, like just singing at the top of our lungs. And having this like joint sing along. It was just so much fun. And yeah, thanks for sharing that. That's really beautiful that she shared that.
Yeah. Any other highlights for you, either as a facilitator, like your experience being there, or any other highlights that you witnessed from the participants?
One thing that I had shared in one of the integration circles was that as each person shared their own intentions or reasons for being there, what they were moving through, I identified with every single one of them in some aspect. And so, just to name a few, right, the perfectionism, being in the hyper masculine, a lot of these like very hyper independent women that as a child, you weren't even able to make a mess in your room, right? Like little things like that connect us all. Those were really profound. A lot of women releasing self-judgment, overthinking, overanalyzing, the criticism, the self-sabotage, releasing burnout. I mean, all of these themes that often when we're in it, we feel like we're the only ones going through it. And in fact, we're all experiencing some distortion of the wounded masculine in this way, right? So this is really that why all of this is rooted in that divine feminine wisdom and coming into flow, coming into surrender, coming into deeper self trust. I mean, these were some of the core themes that move through me, move through the women in the retreat, and will continue to move right through the women that are coming in the future. So, yeah, I just want to highlight that because that to me really was profound.
Yeah. And I would say that similarly, like I can relate to all of those themes. And I think as a collective, as women, we are really healing these patterns. We're releasing these patterns. We're creating a new paradigm for ourselves and future generations. And yeah, like there's layers. So even if women have released some layers of self judgment or some layers of perfectionism, like this retreat gave them an opportunity to unpack more of that, right? To remove anything that's standing in the way of their feminine radiance and their inner light. That was really the focus of this retreat, is coming back home and reconnecting to the joy, to the aliveness, to the pleasure, to the sensation that we have as humans, and really supporting them in getting out of their own way, getting out of their head, getting out of the heaviness, clearing that so they could experience more joy, more playfulness, more ease. And that's truly what happened. Like it was so beautiful to see throughout the week, like the brightness coming back for each of them, and really to see like the connections that were able to be made in such a short amount of time. Like there were some women there who made best friends on the retreat. Like they're, going to remain really close friends for a long time. And I could see that happening throughout the retreat, which was really beautiful to witness.
Yeah, and that's such a special takeaway from these experiences because they are so profound and we're meeting people in that divine moment of where we are on a soul level. And so these connections, they really are lasting. They really do carry through. So that's another beautiful, piece of when someone's investing in an experience like this. It's not just what you're physically going through in that moment, but what's going to come after, because it quite literally is a portal of transformation. You step into the unknown, time is warped, and there's so much that happens, and yeah, you come out a new version of yourself.
So well said. I want to share one more thing as a facilitator, like the power of in-person work and how much joy it brings to me. Like I've shared this before, but like really want to reiterate, like being able to be in person with my clients, to hug them, to look them in the eyes when we're doing embodiment work and breath work and deeper energetic work, for me to be able to put my hands on their bodies, to ground them, to support them in moving through deeper emotions and in opening to greater levels of pleasure and awakening their feminine energy. Like the depth that we're able to go in such a short amount of time, because it's such a immersive experience, is like nothing else. Like you're removed from your home environment, you're fully immersed. There's still plenty of time for like integration and rest and connecting with yourself. We're not just like in these processes and practices all day. But yeah, there's something so potent for me about having that human in person connection, especially when a lot of my work is online. And when we were there, I was like, I just want to do this all the time. Like this is the world that I want to live in, where we create spaces for women to connect in these deep, authentic ways, and where I can connect with them in these, share my love and share my gifts in different ways than I can when I'm behind a computer screen.
Yeah, the physical touch piece is so, so key. And as you were sharing that, I had this visual of a couple women in different moments would hold each other's hands in between sessions, or sit next to each other in a like holding, embracing, like really truly holding each other, and that aspect too, right? That's something that the nonverbal connection piece, like that's big.
And with that, like just speaking to the nature of women, like women are such nurturers and such carers, and to see women supporting each other in that way, even if they had just met a few days ago, to like be in that role of like loving each other in that way is just so beautiful to witness. Like my heart was just blasted open in those moments. Yeah.
We mentioned the bird that came in during breath work. Oh,
So sweet.
yeah, that was so potent. So the shala, it was literally like you're immersed in the river. We had a monkey like 20 feet away from us. It was just so beautiful. And from part of the session, my eyes are closed, and everyone's laying down, and I open my eyes and I see Amy holding this beautiful little baby bird that was in our space and stayed with us. It stayed in your hand on the oracle card. So that was, yeah, that was really special.
Yeah, yeah, we had seen, there was, like, this baby bird that looked like it was injured or hurt, and so I, like, went and I picked it up on this, card, and I put it in my lap, and it stayed, like you said, for, like, 15-20 minutes. It was just, like,
Those.
in the healing energy. Yeah, that was super sweet. Yeah. Yeah, let me see. I mean, yeah, it's almost like there's so much. I feel like we covered a lot of the highlights, and yeah, I think that each session just everyone got what they needed. Like sometimes you go into a retreat and you're like, this is exactly what I want to get out. And I love like the intention is huge. Like setting your intention is huge. And sometimes we get like more or something different than what we anticipated. And so with the variety of the different adventures and different workshops and different ways of connecting, like, everyone got to receive whatever medicine it is that they needed.